Bella got a call from her son while she was on her way home. Leo's panicked voice came through the phone. "Mom, someone hit me. Put Uncle George on the line," she asked Leo, her heart racing as she hailed a taxi. "Uncle, what happened?" "Where are you?" she asked anxiously. "Take a deep breath. We're okay." "I'll send you the location," George reassured her before hanging up and sending her the location. Bella instructed the taxi driver to head towards the accident location. When she arrived, she saw George standing by the side of the road, holding Leo in his arms. Leo was crying so hard that his voice was strained. Bella rushed over and said, "Leo, don't cry. Come here, let Mommy hold you." As soon as Leo saw his mother, his crying softened. He flung himself into Bella's arms and pressed his hands against his chest. "Mom, I fell down with Uncle George. My chest hurts. Don't cry, sweetheart. Mommy is here to comfort you," Bella cooed to Leo softly. And he stopped crying. She then turned to George and asked, "Uncle, are you all right?" "I am fine," George replied. A bystander grew impatient as he observed the scene. He spoke sternly. "What did you say about the car?" Bella turned to face him. "What happened? Who are you?" The man questioned Bella. "He is my uncle," Bella answered. "He just crashed into my car." "Look at my car, it is damaged." "What do you suggest we do?" "I am so sorry. We can't afford to pay for the damages. If you want to involve the police or the authorities, then let's go," George said remorsefully. "Let me think about it." Bella rubbed her forehead, wondering what they should do. Even if she sold their house, they would only gather a few $100,000, and that may not be enough to cover the costs. She felt anxious, but the car owner grew impatient. "I can't think of a solution. Let's call the police. They can handle it." The man took out his phone and dialed the police. As Bella heard him making the call, she and George exchanged worried glances. Leo was so scared that he started crying again. "Mom, I don't want to go to the police station." "Don't be afraid," Bella assured Leo, although deep down she was also terrified. She had never dealt with the police before, and she didn't know what to do. Just then, a car pulled up beside them. Alpha Carl stepped out of the car and asked, "What happened, Uncle Alpha Carl?" "This person wants to call the police and have us arrested." "I am scared," Leo cried, relieved to see Alpha Carl. "Don't worry, Uncle Carl is here." Alpha Carl comforted Leo, taking him from Bella and patting his shoulder. He then turned to Bella and inquired, "What is going on?" Bella explained the car accident to him. Alpha Carl furrowed his brow as he looked at the luxury car. He then glared at the man. "What is your connection with Wilmore?" "Wilmore and Wilhel? I don't know them," the man replied impatiently. Alpha Carl scrutinized the man for a moment. "Is this car yours?" The man didn't take Alpha Carl seriously, assuming that the poor individuals before him couldn't do anything. He responded arrogantly, "Do you think it is mine? What a cocky guy." "I'll make you regret it," Alpha Carl said, dialing a number on his phone. He spoke in French, which Bella couldn't understand, but George, who stood nearby, listened intently. Alpha Carl ended the call. Looking relieved, he quickly dialed another number. "Mike, come here right away. There is a situation that needs handling." After giving the address, he ended the call and glanced at the man from head to toe. "You are quite audacious." The man, who was previously aggressive, paled at Alpha Carl's words. The police officers stepped forward and instructed, "Please come with us." The group of people was taken to the nearest police station. The police interrogated the man. "I didn't steal the car. I borrowed it," the man explained. "You borrowed it? From whom?" Alpha Carl sneered. The man was left speechless for a moment. Alpha Carl smirked. "This is my friend's car. He is currently in France. I just called him to confirm that he didn't lend the car to anyone. So, where did you borrow it from? The man stammered. He never imagined the situation would unfold like this. Just give it back to me. Alpha Carl barked orders to the authorities and police, furious that a human had committed such a crime. Bring him back and make him confess. He stole a valuable car and caused all this damage. Let him rot in prison. I didn't steal the car. My relative let me borrow it. I swear you can ask him. The man pleaded desperately. The police contacted the man's relative, who rushed to the station and greeted Alpha Carl. Alpha Trevor. What brings you here? Alpha Carl sneered upon seeing a friend's butler. Did you lend him the car or did he steal it? The butler, with a serious expression, replied, He is my nephew. He has been in town for a few days and had been eyeing the car. I never thought he would take it. He seized the chance to drive it while I was asleep. Please forgive him. Alpha Trevor, you took a car without permission. That is theft. Alpha Carl sneered, questioning the butler's plea. The man nodded. I understand completely. It doesn't matter whether I forgive you or not. The police will reach their own conclusion regarding this car thief. Alpha Carl said, passing judgment. Ignoring the butler's plea, he left the station with Bella and the others. Bella let out a sigh of relief. I am so glad you were here. We were lost without your help. Remember to call me whenever you face something you can't handle. Alpha Carl glared at Bella. You have a phone, for crying out loud. Actually use it when your life is on the line. Bella blushed, embarrassed. I didn't want to bother you if you were busy. Your troubles are the most important thing to me. I'll always find time to help, even if I don't have any, Alpha Carl said, looking at Bella significantly. Bella blushed even deeper and quickly changed the subject. Will the butler be fired? It is not entirely his fault. It is sad to lose your job, you fool. Alpha Carl glared at her. How did I end up with someone as naive as you? Have you forgotten how that person cornered you and George? They practically blackmailed you. But it is not the butler's fault. He just seems so innocent, Bella insisted. Innocent. Only a fool like you would see him that way, Carl sneered. I am telling you. The butler is far from innocent. My friend, who is French, usually doesn't even live in our city. The butler manages all the houses and cars here. He sees himself as part of the family. He has even been secretly renting out luxury cars without the owner's knowledge, making a profit. That is bad enough, but the butler took it even further recently by using those cars for shady business. Alpha Carl explained. What kind of business? Bella asked, puzzled. Using expensive cars to blackmail people. Alpha Carl replied, They target wealthy individuals, and they've been pulling off these schemes for the past few months. How did you find out? Bella asked, curious. The spare parts from this car are owned by the Parabolutians. That is how I got wind of this. They usually target rich folks, so why would they come after you this time? It must have been a coincidence, George suggested. Maybe we were just in the wrong place at the wrong time. That seemed to be the only explanation. Alpha Carl nodded and smiled at Bella. I did you a favor today. The least you can do is treat me to a nice meal. At the mention of food, Bella suddenly remembered she still had to deliver a meal to Layla. Oh no, I have to get Layla's food to her as soon as possible. Eleanor had been contemplating how to deal with Bella. She had thought about Itzel's suggestion, but as a mother herself, she couldn't bring herself to threaten Bella's motherhood. However, Itzel had another idea. According to Alpha Xavier, Bella had married out of desperation. It was clear that she must be in a vulnerable position. Itzel told Eleanor about the luxury car blackmail. The car was worth millions of dollars, and even a simple paint job could cost over $100,000. Bella couldn't possibly afford it with her current circumstances. Eleanor, hesitant at first, eventually agreed to proceed with the plan. She asked Itzel to find someone to carry out the blackmail. Itzel, well connected in the werewolf and human community, quickly found someone and informed Eleanor. The price they demanded was not cheap, but Eleanor didn't mind. However, she still had doubts about whether this was the right course of action. But before she could decide, Alpha Carl intervened and sent the blackmailers to prison. Thankfully, they didn't reveal anything. Eleanor finally let out a sigh of relief. She knew the plan was wrong, but Itzel reminded her to keep going with plan B, C, and D until she successfully removed Bella from Alpha Xavier's life forever. Life had been calm for a few days until that day when Bella was working at the company. Suddenly, she received a call from George. "Bella, Leo is missing." Bella was taken aback and shocked. "When did he disappear?" "Just now. I took him to play in the park. He said he wanted to eat ice cream. I bought him an ice cream and then I couldn't find him anymore," George explained. Bella's heart skipped a beat. She immediately rushed to Alpha Carl's office with the phone in her hand, ignoring everyone else. She called out his name. "Alpha Carl, I have something urgent to attend to. I'll finish the work tomorrow." When Alpha Carl saw the panic on Bella's face, he had a strong feeling that something significant had happened. "Bella, what happened?" "My son is missing in the park. I am going to find him," Bella said, trembling with fear. "I'll go with you." Alpha Carl immediately stood up, canceled his meeting, and followed Bella out of the company. They quickly got into the car and headed straight to the park. On the way, Bella's face was filled with worry. She muttered to herself, "Nothing can happen to him. No accidents can happen. How will I be able to live if something happens to him?" "Don't worry, nothing will happen to him," Alpha Carl reassured her. The car soon arrived at the park where Leo had gone missing. Bella got out of the car and rushed in, soon finding George, who was sweating profusely. "Uncle, is there any news yet?" "No, Bella. No one has seen him since I came here," George said sadly. "What should we do?" "Leo, why were you wandering around? Don't you know that Mom is worried about you?" Bella cried out. Seeing Bella's anxiety, Alpha Carl was also deeply concerned. He picked up his phone and called the police officers he knew. "Kesh, my son is lost in South Lake Park. Please arrange for a few people to help me." Alpha Carl also called the werewolf guards. Once he hung up the phone, he accompanied Bella to search around the park. Unfortunately, they found no trace of Leo. Alpha Carl had a feeling that it didn't seem like he was lost. Not wanting to voice his suspicion, and seeing Bella so distressed, he offered comfort, taking her hand and saying, "Don't worry, I'll find him. I am here. Don't worry." However, he wasn't idle and continued to call Kesh. "Kesh, did you arrange for someone to come? My son was taken away in the park. It may be a crime. I hope you can arrange for someone to start investigating the surveillance on the road immediately." Kesh quickly agreed on the other end of the line. Alpha Carl hung up and called again. "Bring some people here immediately. Leo is missing." This call was for Mark. Initially, the staff members of the park management department didn't take it seriously. However, when they heard that Alpha Carl had actually called Kesh and asked the police for help, they became nervous and immediately arranged for the park staff to follow him. Alpha Carl asked the staff to continuously adjust the surveillance. The surveillance footage showed that George was waiting in line to buy ice cream at the ice cream stand. Leo was standing beside him, waiting as well. Then, a man wearing sunglasses and a hat approached from the side. He was holding an electric toy to attract Leo's curiosity. Leo walked over, and suddenly, the man grabbed him and quickly left. Everything happened very quickly. And almost no one noticed this scene. Upon witnessing the man disappear on the surveillance, Bella burst into tears. What should I do? What should I do? Looking at her tears, Alpha Carl, who had lived for many years, felt a pang of heartache for the first time. Don't worry. I'll find him. I am here. Don't worry. He comforted Bella, but he didn't remain idle. He continued calling Kesh. Kesh, please ask someone to pay attention to this license plate. I suspect that the child has been taken away by him. As he made the phone call and walked out, Bella grabbed his hand. Alpha Carl, where are you going? Wait here. I am going out to have a look. I don't want to wait. I am going to find my son. Bella's legs were trembling with fear. That kind of fear came from the depths of her heart. If she couldn't find him, what would she do? My son. What should I do when my dear, obedient, and sensible son is gone? Alpha Carl saw her distressed expression and sighed. All right, you can come with me. Alpha Carl helped Bella stumble out of the door and went straight to the parking lot outside the park. He opened the car door and helped Bella into the car, while he opened the driver's seat door and started the car. As the car drove out of the park gate, Alpha Carl's phone rang. It was from Kesh. Alpha Trevor, we have found the license plate you were looking for. It appeared on West River Road. I am arranging for someone to block it. Thank you, Kesh. After hanging up the phone, Alpha Carl immediately sped up and went straight to West River Road. He drove an excellent limited edition luxury car and instantly sped up and rushed out like a roar. In less than half an hour, Alpha Carl's car rushed to West River Road. Because the suspect appeared on West River Road, the nearby police also drove a police car to intercept him. For a moment, the entire West River Road was filled with alarm sounds. Soon, Alpha Carl's phone rang again. It was from Kesh. They found the van at the intersection between Living Road and Black Trail. The driver was nowhere to be found. The police were searching nearby. The child was sleeping in the van, and there were no scars on his body. Hearing this news, Bella was relieved. Soon they arrived at the alley. Before the car stopped, Bella rushed down. Leo. She took Leo from the police and held him tightly in her arms. The feeling of regaining what she lost made her tears fall uncontrollably again. Alpha Carl reached out and held Bella and Leo in his arms. He comforted them gently. There is nothing left. There is nothing left. This shock almost scared Bella out of her wits. Holding her son in her arms, she was reluctant to let go. Alpha Carl looked at Bella's trembling body and sighed slightly. I'll take you to the hospital. Bella nodded and carried Leo into the car with Alpha Carl. Sitting in the car, Bella couldn't help trembling. She didn't dare to imagine what she would do if she couldn't find her son Leo. She wouldn't be able to live. Alpha Carl drove Leo to the hospital. There was nothing serious about the doctor's examination, but he insisted on staying in the hospital for observation before going home. Leo had been sleeping, waiting for a long time without waking up. Alpha Carl was anxious to find a doctor. Bella sat quietly at the side and looked at him. Her son, who was born in winter, couldn't help but lower her head and kiss Leo. Someone came in. 2 policemen in police uniforms introduced themselves to Bella and sat down. We have caught the criminal suspect. Why did he kidnap my child? He said, it wasn't a kidnapping, but someone gave him a sum of money. He asked him to hide the child first and send it back in a few days. Who asked him to do this? Bella didn't believe it at all. He doesn't know either. They met at Club Cobalt. At that time they pretended to be very friendly, wearing hats, sunglasses, and masks. We couldn't see their original appearances. They had an appointment to meet outside the city, and there was no surveillance. So we wanted to ask you, have you ever offended anyone, or have a grudge against anyone? Bella shook her head. She had never offended anyone in the city. If there must be a grudge between them, there must be candidates like Samantha, Pamela, and Eleanor. Could it be one of them? Bella didn't dare to say anything without any evidence, so she just shook her head. The police saw that they couldn't get anything from Bella, and said a few more words before leaving the ward. Bella saw the police off and met Alpha Xavier, who was in a hurry at the elevator entrance. Bella, I heard that something happened to Leo. Yes. How is the situation now? That is it, Bella replied simply. Can I go and see him? There is no need. Bella refused. Alpha Xavier, you'd better spend more time with your fiancé. The word fiancé made Alpha Xavier's face change. Bella seemed not to see his embarrassment. As a man, you should be responsible. It is not good for you to pursue your ex Luna. Of course, Alpha Xavier may not care about reputation, but I care. In order not to damage my reputation, please don't come to me in the future. Alpha Xavier stood where he was and watched as she turned around indifferently. He felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. In Alpha Xavier's family, Eleanor soon learned that the plan had failed. Her purpose was not to kidnap children, but to scare Bella. When she heard that the plan had failed, she did not take it to heart. In the afternoon, Itzel came to visit her. Eleanor and Itzel talked about everything, and Itzel told Eleanor about the child. Itzel sighed. I am afraid I've made a fool of myself this time. Why do you say that? Eleanor was puzzled. Let me tell you. I just saw Alpha Xavier go to the hospital to see Bella and her child. They quarreled outside, and Bella slapped Alpha Xavier in the face. Itzel knew that Eleanor was very protective of her son. When she heard that someone had slapped her son, she felt worse than if she had been slapped herself. Sure enough, Eleanor was very angry when she heard this. What? Why did this little brat hit my son? I am afraid Bella has guessed the truth. After all, only you have such a motive. Then, what should we do now? After all, she was in the wrong, so Eleanor felt guilty. I don't know. She doesn't have any evidence. What can she do to you? Itzel said. I know about this, but isn't Alpha Xavier still pursuing her? I am worried about this, Eleanor said. I have an idea. Itzel lowered her voice. Eleanor sighed and said, let's try it. Because of the kidnapping of Leo, Alpha Carl gave Bella a few days off and asked her to stay at home with her child. Bella was also worried that it would leave a shadow in the child's heart. She had been staying at home with Leo for the past 2 days. At noon, Layla came to see them. She bought food and toys for Leo. Leo and George were playing in the living room. Layla pulled Bella into the bedroom and closed the door. Bella, I met Samantha and Yelena at the coffee shop at noon today. Do you know what those two mean girls were talking about? It was Eleanor who kidnapped Leo. What? Bella exclaimed. In order to force you to leave the pack, Eleanor deliberately asks someone to take the child away. She wants to threaten you. She is so vicious, Layla said. How could she do this? Bella trembled with anger. I heard from that bitch Samantha that Eleanor was afraid that you would bother Alpha Xavier again. So she did this. Bella, you have to stay away from him in the future, Layla said. Do you think I don't want to? When I came back, I never thought that I would have anything to do with him. But recently, he has been showing up in front of me all the time, Bella sighed. That disgusting jerk. What on earth does he want to do? Who knows? Bella sneered. If he comes to you again, You should make it clear to him. Don't give him any leeway. Alpha Xavier is also a powerful billionaire alpha. I don't believe that he will be so shameless. After sending Layla away, Bella went to the vegetable market to buy vegetables. Feeling upset, when she came back, she saw Alpha Xavier. Bella's irritation was palpable as she laid eyes on Alpha Xavier. Without wasting a second, she barked, "What do you want, Alpha Xavier?" "Bella." Xavier's confusion was apparent in his raised brows. "Do you realize how annoying it is for you to show up here every day like this? Do you know that I almost lost my son because of your shameless pestering?" Bella accused. "Bella, Leo was an accident." Xavier attempted to explain, unaware of the situation at hand. "An accident? Who told you it was an accident?" "I told you it was all your mother's doing. It was your mother who asked someone to take my son away and threaten me." Bella couldn't hold back any longer and decided to spill everything that happened. She refused to let her son suffer at the hands of her despicable ex-mate, who betrayed her trust, divorced her, and left her with nothing. "My mom did it." "How is that possible?" Alpha Xavier exclaimed, unable to fully grasp the situation. He knew his mother could be heartless, but he never imagined she would stoop so low, especially considering her love for the children. "What is impossible?" "Your mother has threatened me several times. She is such a vicious person." "What can't she do?" Bella crossed her arms, fueled by her hatred and disgust for Xavier's mother. "If it really was my mother who did it, I will definitely give you an explanation," Alpha Xavier promised sincerely. "I don't want any explanation from you, Alpha Xavier. I beg you. Please let me and my child go. I can't afford to offend you. I really can't afford to offend you. Please give me a way out." Observing Bella's infuriated expression, Alpha Xavier felt his heart sink. He couldn't believe his mother would stoop this low. But Bella had no personal vendetta against anyone who could treat her and her child in such a despicable manner. Alpha Xavier drove home, determined to confront his mother in person about these accusations. Eleanor was unwilling to admit it. She simply brushed it off, claiming that Bella was talking nonsense and that she had a falling out with her son. In a fit of anger, he stormed out of the house. Eleanor sat in the living room, rubbing her chest. She was furious. It was all because of that budget Bella. She had provoked her and her son time and time again. Eleanor couldn't stand it, so she ordered the driver to take her to Bella's neighborhood. Summoning Bella downstairs, Eleanor called out, "Come down. I have something to ask you." A few minutes later, Bella appeared. Eleanor didn't beat around the bush and bluntly said, "Bella, you are so stupid for causing a rift between Alpha Xavier and me. Did I sow discord between you and your son? Ask yourself, did you do something immoral?" Bella sneered. "How could you, as a mother, be so vicious and shameless? Do you even have a heart? Didn't you force me to do this? If you hadn't been chasing Alpha Xavier, would I have done this?" Eleanor admitted, causing Bella to tremble with anger. "How can you be so vicious? Are you a devil? What is the difference between you doing this and a beast?" Eleanor, fuming from Bella's scolding, retorted, "Bella, you brought all this upon yourself. I am telling you. This is just the beginning. If you still refuse to come to your senses, don't blame me." "What do you want?" "What do you want?" Bella asked, seething with fury. "My request is very simple. Stay away from my son. Don't disrupt his engagement with Samantha," Eleanor emphasized. "I didn't," Bella refuted once again. "If you don't have any feelings for Alpha Xavier, then accept my conditions and leave the pack and the city. Since you've already left once, why do you want to stay behind this time?" Eleanor curiously asked. "I won't accept your conditions. You give up," Bella declared firmly. "Really? Let me tell you the truth. This is just a joke. It is hard to say what the future holds, Eleanor sneered with laughter. I am going to sue you. Bella threatened Eleanor. Do you have any evidence? Eleanor sneered back. Bella, you don't have the strength to go against me. I am the alpha's mother. I don't believe. You can cover the sky with one hand. I can't cover the sky with one hand, but I just need to cover the sky above your head. Eleanor sneered. Of course, if you don't care about your son's safety, you can try. Eleanor, evil is rewarded with good. If you are so malicious, you will be punished, Bella wished. I am not afraid of retribution. For my son's happiness, everything is worth it. Eleanor declared, not caring about the consequences. With an arrogant exit, Eleanor left, leaving Bella standing downstairs in a daze. Eleanor wasn't just making empty threats. As she had said, it wouldn't take much effort to deal with her. Bella wasn't alone, she had a son. She didn't need to fight people like Eleanor solely for her son's well-being. She didn't know how long she had been standing there. Suddenly, someone placed a hand on Bella's shoulder. Why are you standing here alone at such a late hour? Bella turned around to find Alpha Carl standing beside her with a smile. Why are you here? If I miss you, I'll come and have a look, he replied, not being completely serious. Alpha Carl, I am not in the mood to joke with you, Bella said sadly. I am not joking. I am telling the truth, Bella. I came here involuntarily. I really miss you. Alpha Carl looked down at Bella, his eyes brimming with sincerity. Bella didn't dare to meet his gaze and immediately lowered her head. He reached out to hold her hand. Bella, let me take care of you and your child, okay? These words made Bella raise her head. She couldn't believe that Alpha Carl would say something like that to her. I like you. And I can't resist your attraction. Bella, I am not saying this on a whim. I've thought about it for a long time before confessing my feelings to you. Believe me, I won't let you down. Alpha Carl made a promise to Bella and closed the distance between them. Bella stared at Alpha Carl in awe. He was the one who provided her with comfort and strength during her most vulnerable moments. She, who had been wandering aimlessly for so many years, felt a sense of dependence in his embrace and comfort. But would he be her savior? His attractiveness, wealth, talent, and family, none of them matched her current life. A man like him seemed so distant to her. She was truly afraid that history would repeat itself. I just want to give you and our child a home. Bella tried to accept me and love me. Okay, Alpha Carl took her hand in his. His voice was low and magnetic. Bella looked up at Alpha Carl in confusion. Just as she was about to lose hope, his arms wrapped around her and warmed her. Alpha Carl, are you sincere to me? Will you always be kind to me? He nodded. I am truly good to you. I will always be good to you, I promise. Tears welled up in Bella's eyes. She reached out to cover Alpha Carl's mouth. I don't need you to promise. I don't need any oaths. Okay. I won't promise. Look at what I am doing for you. Alpha Carl grabbed her hand and pulled her into his arms. He held her soft body and said to himself in his heart, Bella, I am a playboy. I have often slept with women because I hadn't found a worthy woman to love. But now that I've found you, I won't let you go. No matter what hardships you may face in the future, I won't let go of you. Bella, who was lying in his warm and wide arms, had mixed feelings. Although Alpha Carl was not a romantic man, and despite his many previous relationships, she knew that he was a kind person. Bella thoughtfully said, If Alpha Carl truly likes me, I will try to accept you. I will try to love you. Let's give each other a chance. Alpha Xavier sat in the car, staring at the Ferrari in front of him. Bella in the car was smiling like a flower, talking to Alpha Carl. Her smile sparked his nerves. In the past, he often saw men send her home, but he had never seen her smile with such joy. What exactly happened? What made her so happy? Bella, you look so beautiful when you smile. Remember to smile more often in the future. Alpha Carl stared greedily at Bella's beautiful face. This was the original Bella. He wanted this kind of woman. She was beautiful but not naive. Thinking of being able to see such a beautiful smile every day in the future, Alpha Carl was very happy. That depends on your performance. If I am not happy, how can I laugh? I will make you happy, Alpha Carl said, looking into Bella's eyes. The car stopped downstairs, and George came over with Leo. Mom. Leo threw herself into Bella's arms for a while and then jumped onto Alpha Carl. Uncle Carl, call me Dad. Alpha Carl glared at him. Leo glanced at Bella and saw a smile on her face, so he called him sweetly Dad. Good son. Alpha Carl lifted Leo over his head, and Leo giggled. A little higher, a little higher. George was also very happy. The meal is ready. Let's eat first. While eating, George mentioned the matter of Leo going to kindergarten. The teacher of the kindergarten came today and said that he is a few months younger and asked him to come back next year. Mom, I want to go to kindergarten and play with children. Leo looked at Bella pitifully. Hearing that, Alpha Carl looked at Bella. Is there any other way for him to go to kindergarten? There is a school nearby that accepts children as young as 3. Bella replied, why should you stay within the community? Let's send him to the kindergarten in the countryside. The facilities are good, and the education is great. Looking at Bella's embarrassed expression, he understood. I'll pay for it. Use your money, I will feel bad. Bella refused. Haha, you are so silly and cute. Alpha Carl grinned at Bella. Do we also have to follow the system after we get married? I am telling you, from now on, everything I have belongs to you. Bella's face suddenly turned red. She couldn't help but look into Alpha Carl's eyes. It was said that eyes were the best way to respond to a person's heart. Alpha Carl's eyes looked extremely sincere. She subconsciously lowered her head, but it was hard for her to calm down. Leo had fallen asleep, and Alpha Carl had yet to leave. Bella placed Leo on the bed and tucked him in. A large hand wrapped around her waist, and gentle lips pressed against her neck. Bella's body stiffened all of a sudden. Although he had kissed her before, he had never been this sober. She wanted to push him away, but she didn't take any action. The alpha in front of her had the best family background and the most handsome appearance. She had no reason to refuse him. Because of her hesitation, Alpha Carl slowly turned her body around, and his warm lips kissed hers. Bella allowed herself to be kissed passively. After a while, he let go of her lips and hugged her tightly. Bella, I don't want to leave you today. Bella's face suddenly turned red. She playfully knocked on his head. I am telling you. Don't treat me like one of your flings. Listen to me. Alpha Carl grabbed her hand and stared at her with his beautiful eyes. I don't want to leave you anymore. Do you understand? Bella, let's get married. Get married? Yes. Let's get married right away. You can move in with me. Then I can kiss you with a justified reason. He smiled in a low voice. That is naughty. Bella glared at him. Marriage wasn't something to be taken lightly. Alpha Carl's proposal couldn't be solely decided by him. Let me think about it. She said she wanted time to think about it, but it wasn't impossible. Alpha Carl reached out and pressed his hand on her red lips. Don't you believe me? My heart aches. How can I make you believe me? Alpha Carl reluctantly left Bella's house at 10 o'clock in the evening, his mind drifting to the scent of another car parked nearby. Alpha Xavier couldn't bear to see Carl suffer day after day. waiting for something that would never happen. He had already informed the Trevor family about the situation, but nothing seemed to be changing. Why are they allowing Alpha Carl to mate with a divorced she-wolf who has a pup? Alpha Xavier growled, his frustration bubbling to the surface. It didn't make sense to him. Despite Carl's questionable reputation, his grandfather always favored him. Family background held great importance to his grandfather, so how could he approve of this? Meanwhile, Alpha Trevor, the head of the Trevor family, sipped his tea and relaxed in the castle garden. The beta rushed over, interrupting his peaceful moment. Alpha, your eldest son is here. Alpha Trevor's annoyance was evident as he asked, "What does he want?" "He wants to talk about Alpha Carl," the beta replied. A sneer formed on Alpha Trevor's face as he narrowed his eyes. "Tell him to leave." But before he could dismiss his son, the figure approached. "Father, didn't I tell you to leave?" Alpha Trevor's irritation persisted. "Father, please don't be angry. I have something important to tell you about Carl," his son pleaded. He bore a striking resemblance to Alpha Carl, but carried a more refined and subdued demeanor. "Speak," Alpha Trevor commanded, his words carrying an air of authority. "Alpha Carl has been facing difficulties lately. He is involved with his assistant, and I believe you should intervene," Carl's father urged, hoping that as the family patriarch Alpha Trevor could control this unpleasant situation. "What is so surprising about that?" Alpha Trevor sneered. "The main issue is that this woman is divorced and has a pup," Carl's father reminded him. "What is wrong with a divorced woman? She may be a better match for him than a mated woman," Alpha Trevor argued, raising an eyebrow. Carl's father's face flushed with embarrassment. "Father, I told you. I am not your father. Ever since you abandoned your Luna and pup to be with that she-wolf, I disowned you as my son. Don't consider me your father." Alpha Trevor's voice dripped with disdain. "Father, I understand your anger, but please reconsider," he pleaded, his face still burning red. "You don't care about Carl. Have you ever cared about him all these years? Your only concern is that woman, and now you remember you have a son." Alpha Trevor scoffed. "Since you've made up your mind, let's stop arguing. You don't need to worry about Alpha Carl. As long as the woman he chooses is not mated, he has the freedom to be with anyone he likes," Alpha Trevor stated firmly. "Father." Alpha Carl's father was clearly displeased. "Fine, now leave." Alpha Trevor dismissed him coldly. When his son hesitated to comply, the grandpa Alpha erupted with fury. He roared at the beta standing nearby. "What are you waiting for? Get someone to kick him out immediately!" As his son left, the anger still simmered on Alpha Trevor's face. "My son has the audacity to mention Carl. If he hadn't acted so shamelessly in the past, would Carl have ended up like this? He ruined my grandson." "Alpha, please calm down," the beta attempted to comfort him. "It has been many years, and he knows he was wrong. Please forgive him." "Forgive him," Alpha Trevor sneered. "I wanted to, but have you seen what he has been doing? He is still causing trouble within the pack. If he truly had a son, why has he only mentioned it now?" "Alpha Carl despises his father," the beta explained. "He won't even listen to his own father." "Are we going to let him get away with this?" Alpha Trevor snarled angrily. "It has been so long, and the people in my family deliberately kept this news from me. They want Carl to mate with a worthless she-wolf so they can dispose of him. It is chilling." "Alpha, don't jump to conclusions. They didn't tell you because they were afraid you would worry," the beta clarified. "They're afraid of me, huh?" Alpha Trevor pondered, his anger still lingering. "Alpha Trevor, let's focus on what to do about Alpha Carl," the beta suggested. "What can we do?" Alpha Trevor massaged his temple wearily. The more we try to stop him, the more he rebels. Let's leave this matter alone for now. She is just a rejected she-wolf with a pup. She may be pretty, but I don't believe she is more alluring than those famous stars. Let's observe her for a while before making any plans. The next day, when Alpha Carl and Bella returned from their outing, an unexpected visitor from the office was waiting for them. A weary-looking man stood before them, and Alpha Carl's smile quickly turned into a scowl. "What are you doing here? I came to see you," the man replied. Alpha Carl sneered and looked at the man. "Have you lost your mind? Look at me, is something wrong with your brain?" The room emptied, leaving only Alpha Carl and his father, Reese. Reese gazed at his son's angry eyes and spoke helplessly. "Alpha Carl, it is your birthday today. I didn't celebrate it with you before, so I wanted to come and make it up to you." Alpha Carl responded rudely. "What is wrong with you? Did you take the wrong medicine? Just say what you need to say. I don't have time for idle talk." Reese smiled uncomfortably and continued. "I just returned. Grandpa asked me to give you a message." "You are not dreaming, are you?" Alpha Carl sneered. "Grandpa allowed you, a son who has been banished from the family, to speak to him. That is quite amusing." Reese was unfazed by his son's sarcasm. "Grandpa wanted me to deliver a message. You can choose to ignore it, but you can't become angry. The Trevor family forbids marriage to divorced or mated women with children." Alpha Carl raised an eyebrow in surprise. Compared to someone who is having an affair with a married woman, finding a divorced woman as a girlfriend is a piece of cake for me. Embarrassed, Reese blushed, and then said, "You don't know everything, Alpha Carl. Your mother and I have no feelings for each other." "Are you feeling something for a married woman then?" Alpha Carl interrupted. "Let me tell you, Reese. Do you know why I despise you? If you truly didn't love my mother, you could have divorced her. Instead, you chose to seduce a woman who was already in a relationship and hurt my mother. You are the most repulsive and irresponsible man in the world." "I am sorry, Alpha Carl." Reese looked ashamed. "No need to apologize to me. I have considered you dead since the moment you abandoned my mother and me." Alpha Carl mocked him. Reese was taken aback. "Alpha Carl, are you serious? Do I look like I am joking?" Alpha Carl sneered. "Alpha Carl, please listen. Don't be angry. I am still your father. I would never do anything to harm you." "Father." Hump. Alpha Carl suddenly raised his voice. "A man who only cares about his mistress and neglects his Luna and children cannot be called a father. I know you hate me. But no matter how much you hate me, you can't mess with marriage." Reese placed his hands on Carl's shoulders. "You really think quite highly of yourself. But do you even deserve my hatred?" Alpha Carl sneered. "Leave my office right now. Don't ever come back to my territory." "Alpha Carl, are you leaving or not? If you don't, I'll call security to throw you out," Carl threatened. Reese looked at his son's fierce eyes and felt intimidated. He had never cared for his son since he was a small werewolf. Ever since he had an affair with another woman, he and his son had been estranged. After thinking for a while, he had to leave begrudgingly. Bella entered Alpha Carl's office and found him looking miserable. He was sitting in a chair, trying to catch his breath. "Let the receptionist know he is not welcome anymore." "What happened?" Bella asked with concern. "Nothing," Alpha Carl replied calmly before glancing at Bella for a moment. Then he walked to the window and lit a cigarette. His handsome face took on a dark expression. Every family had its own difficulties. They had been by Alpha Carl's side for a long time, yet he had never mentioned his family. For some reason, Bella felt sorry for Alpha Carl. Because of Reese's visit, Alpha Carl remained in a foul mood throughout the day. Bella didn't dare to disturb him and returned to her office. After work, Lucas entered with a beautifully wrapped bag. "Alpha Carl bought this for you." "Try them on," Lucas said. "Why did he spend so much money on me?" Bella wondered. "Alpha Carl is taking you to a cruise party tonight," Lucas informed her. "But I promised Leo that I would go home for dinner tonight." Bella started. The next day, under the bright sunlight, the alpha of the pack, Carl and Bella, arrived to the company. Little did they know that an uninvited visitor was waiting for them upon their return. A weary-looking man stood at the entrance, his appearance reflecting his fatigue. Alpha Carl's smile quickly transformed into a deep frown upon seeing him. His voice carried a hint of annoyance as he questioned, "What are you doing here?" "I came to see you," the man replied, his voice laced with a mixture of weariness and determination. Alpha Carl's frown deepened, and his eyes narrowed in suspicion. "Look at me. Is anything wrong with your brain?" With everyone out of earshot, the only individuals left in the room were Alpha Carl and his father Reese. The room seemed to pulsate with tension as Reese gazed into his son's angry eyes, his expression a mix of helplessness and regret. "Alpha Carl, today is your birthday. I never got the chance to celebrate it with you before, so I decided to make it up to you by coming here." Alpha Carl's tone remained brusque and curt as he responded. "What is wrong with you? Did you take the wrong medicine? Just get to the point. I don't have time for idle talk." Reese's smile wavered awkwardly as he replied, "I've only just returned. Grandpa asked me to deliver a message to you." Alpha Carl's voice dripped with sarcasm as he retorted, "You are not dreaming, are you? Grandpa allowed you, the unfilial son who was exiled from the family, to have a conversation with him. That is quite amusing." Undeterred by the sarcasm, Reese calmly expressed himself. "Grandpa wanted me to relay a message to you. You can choose to ignore it, but you cannot become angry. According to our family's traditions, divorced or mated women with children are prohibited from marrying into the Trevor family." Alpha Carl's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Compared to someone who is having an affair with a married woman, finding a divorced woman as a girlfriend is child's play for me. A tinge of embarrassment colored Reese's face. But after a brief pause, he continued, "You don't know everything, Alpha Carl. Your mother and I have no feelings for each other." Interrupting him, Alpha Carl's voice turned sharp. "Do you have feelings for a mated woman? Let me enlighten you, Reese. Do you know why I despise you? If you truly didn't love my mother, you could have divorced her. Instead, you chose to seduce a woman who was already committed, hurting both my mother and our family. You are the most repulsive and irresponsible man I've ever encountered." The weight of shame and remorse was visible on Reese's face as he muttered, "Alpha Carl, I am sorry." Alpha Carl waved off the apology dismissively. "No need to apologize to me. Ever since the moment you abandoned my mother and me, I've considered you dead." His eyes bore into Reese's, filled with both anger and disappointment. An expression of shock flashed across Reese's face. "Alpha Carl, are you serious?" The corners of Alpha Carl's lips turned upwards in a mocking smile. "Do you think I am joking?" he sneered, trying to salvage the situation. Reese pleaded. "Alpha Carl, listen to me. Don't be angry. I am still your father. I would never do anything to harm you." Alpha Carl scoffed in response. "Father? Hump." His voice raised suddenly, its undertone filled with anger. "A man who only cares about his mistress, neglecting his Luna and children, cannot be called a father." With a mixture of resignation and shame, Reese spoke softly. "I know you hate me, but no matter how much you despise me, you can't get into this mating." He reached out and placed his hands on Carl's broad shoulders, a gesture of longing for understanding. Alpha Carl's voice turned cold as icicles. You really think highly of yourself, but do you even deserve my hatred? His words dripped with disdain. Leave my office right now. Don't ever step foot on my land again. Alpha, Carl, are you leaving or not? If you don't, I'll call security to escort you out. Carl's threat hung heavily in the air. Reese looked at his son. His eyes filled with a mix of fear and regret. He had never truly been there for his son since the time he was a small werewolf. Ever since his affair with another woman, the relationship between father and son had soured. After a few moments of contemplation, Reese reluctantly turned and left, but not without the bitter taste of resentment lingering on his tongue. Bella, Alpha Carl's trusted confidant, entered his office, witnessing the aftermath of their heated exchange. Concern etched across her face, she asked. Alpha Carl took a deep breath, trying to regain his composure. Let the receptionist know that he is no longer welcome here. Bella's eyes searched his face, her voice filled with empathy. What is wrong? Alpha Carl responded with a forced calmness. Nothing. He glanced at Bella for a moment before moving towards the window, retrieving a cigarette from his pocket. The once handsome features of his face twisted into a dark expression. Each family had its own struggles, and Alpha Carl's was no exception. He had never mentioned his family to those by his side for a long time, for reasons unknown even to her. Bella felt a twinge of sympathy for Alpha Carl due to Reese's unexpected visit. Alpha Carl's mood remained sour throughout the day. Bella didn't dare to disturb him, retreating to her own office to carry out her tasks. As the workday drew to a close, Lucas entered her office, holding a beautifully wrapped gift bag. Lucas extended the bag towards Bella. This is what Alpha Carl bought for you. Try them on. Bella's eyebrows shot up in surprise. Why did he spend so much money on me? A smile played on Lucas's lips. Alpha Carl is taking you to a cruise party tonight. Bella hesitated as her mind raced. But I promised Leo that I would go home for dinner tonight. Amidst confusion, Bella found herself standing, unsure of the situation unfolding before her. Emphasizing that Alpha Carl had deemed this as work, Lucas spoke, his words laced with a touch of urgency. Sensing that Bella might hold Alpha Carl's heart, Lucas softened his tone and addressed her as Assistant Bella, explaining that Alpha Carl was in a foul mood and she alone had the power to bring him happiness. Bella had no reason to refuse this request. If Alpha Carl was indeed in a bad mood, then it was her duty to provide comfort. With anticipation, Bella opened the exquisite package, revealing an evening gown that lay within. Making use of the office's restroom, Bella locked the door and entered to change into the elegant attire, emerging from the restroom in her new attire. Bella entered Alpha Carl's office to find that his previously gloomy countenance had transformed. He now wore a smile and engaged in pleasant conversation with Mark. Alpha Carl's eyes reflected a gentle gaze as he admired Bella's transformed appearance. However, he sensed that something was missing, something that could enhance her beauty. Opening a drawer, he retrieved a box containing an exquisite diamond necklace. Walking over to Bella, Alpha Carl instructed her to wear it, asserting that it would complete her look. Before Bella could utter a word, Alpha Carl's plea-filled voice dominated the room. Be obedient, put it on, don't make me unhappy. Touched by his plea, Bella's heart softened. She obediently allowed Alpha Carl to assist her in adorning the necklace. Stepping back, Alpha Carl looked upon her with satisfaction, declaring her beauty. Seated in the back of the car, Lucas assumed the role of the driver as Alpha Carl and Bella occupied the rear row. The car sped swiftly, eventually arriving at the beach. Lucas opened the door, and Alpha Carl guided Bella towards their awaiting car. Off in the distance, the sea revealed a sight that commanded attention, a giant cruise ship. With a pointing finger, Alpha Carl directed Bella's gaze towards the impressive vessel. "Tonight, we shall spend a splendid night aboard this luxurious cruise ship." Recognizing Alpha Carl leading her towards the ship, a warm welcome awaited them. A friendly individual greeted them, guiding them towards the haven of luxury. For Bella, this marked her first encounter with such a resplendent yacht. She couldn't help but look around in awe, feeling like a village girl beholding the grandeur of the city. Noticing her surprised expression, Alpha Carl couldn't suppress a laugh. "Indeed, you resemble a village girl venturing into the city." "You are right. I've never set foot on a cruise ship as opulent as this in my entire life. I've only witnessed them through the screen of a television." Bella confessed, her thoughts drifting momentarily to her mate, Alpha Xavier, who had never taken her to such remarkable places. Alpha Carl was merely teasing her. Yet he hadn't expected such sincerity from her. He sighed, his arms enveloping Bella's waist. "Should you desire it, I would bestow upon you a yacht of your own named after you." "No, it would be too extravagant. For me, luxury holds no importance, only happiness matters." "You are correct. I recall hearing that you once gifted a luxury yacht to a female star." Bella playfully teased. "That is a different matter. Those were mere entertainments. You, on the other hand, hold a distinct place in my heart." Alpha Carl gazed into Bella's eyes, his words carrying a weight of sincerity. "Bella, I truly love you." Avoiding his gaze, Bella turned her head shyly, only to find the last person she wished to see standing before her. Kelsey, draped in a pink dress, exuded an ethereal beauty. Her once fair skin took on a jade-like hue against the backdrop of pink. Alpha Xavier, standing tall and imposing, perfectly complemented her. Together they appeared as a flawlessly matched pair. Upon seeing Alpha Carl and Bella approach hand in hand, Alpha Xavier's eyes narrowed. Alpha Carl, dressed in a black suit with an open collar and a silver chain adorning his neck, nonchalantly inserted his hands into his pockets. A slender hand intertwined with Alpha Xavier's arm, drawing his gaze. Bella, adorned in a flowing purple gown that trailed behind her, shimmered with diamond accents along the skirt's hem. Her jet-black hair cascaded naturally over her shoulders. Devoid of any ornamentation, her eyes sparkled with clarity, her arched eyebrows accentuating their radiance. Her long eyelashes fluttered delicately, while her flawless porcelain skin showed a subtle blush. Her lips, as delicate as rose petals, bestowed upon her a fairy-like enchantment. Alpha Xavier couldn't help but be entranced by her presence. Beside him, Kelsey exclaimed, "She is truly beautiful." Bella caught sight of Alpha Xavier and Kelsey looking over, unwillingly acknowledging their presence. "Miss Moonshadow, you are equally as beautiful," Kelsey greeted with genuine warmth. Bella responded with a gentle smile, extending her hand to meet Kelsey's. "You are too kind." Alpha Carl and Alpha Xavier exchanged a few words before heading towards the party hall, hand in hand. Once inside, they encountered a gathering of familiar faces, all casting surprised gazes upon their entrance. Most eyes fixated upon Bella. Alpha Carl embraced Bella's waist tightly and whispered in her ear, "My love, you outshine them all tonight." Which woman wouldn't relish hearing such praises? Bella bashfully smiled, questioning truly, "Why doubt it?" Alpha Carl's somber expression softened. "Seeing the desire in their eyes only reinforces my regret." He held Bella even closer, his voice husky as he nibbled on her ear. Observing Bella and Alpha Carl's intimate whispers and catching sight of the coy smile gracing her features, Alpha Xavier's eyes darkened with envy. Alpha Carl clung to Bella, leading the way through the crowd, occasionally greeting acquaintances. It was Bella's first time attending such a grand event, and at every turn she captivated men and women alike. The elegant music resonated throughout the hall as people reveled in conversation, wine, and dancing. After exchanging a few more pleasantries with familiar faces, Alpha Carl led Bella to the buffet area, finding a casual spot to sit. The fondness in Alpha Carl's eyes never wavered as he said, "I know you must be hungry. Indulge in whatever you desire tonight." "I shall accompany you," Bella playfully scolded. "You make it seem as if I were a starving ghost." Being ravenous herself, she picked up a plate and began to gather her meal, paying less attention to Bella. Alpha Carl suddenly felt his mouth watering. "I want to eat as well. Nobody is stopping you. Can't you get some for me?" Bella lowered her head, resuming her meal. Alpha Carl grew annoyed and swiftly began grabbing dishes and utensils from her hands. "This is all mine. You can get another plate." Bella gritted her teeth. "Fine. I'll get one for you." From the corner of his eye, Alpha Xavier had been closely observing Bella's every move. Witnessing this scene, a surge of satisfaction washed over him. With Kelsey by his side, he approached Alpha Carl and Bella. "Mind if we join you?" Alpha Carl forced a smile. "Not at all, Alpha Xavier. Please have a seat." As Bella returned with food for Alpha Carl, he promptly took it from her hands. "It is all my favorites." "Thank you, my love. Pass me that one," he exclaimed, gesturing to another dish. Bella's disgust almost led her to accidentally throw the food at him. Alpha Xavier's gaze darkened, while Kelsey obediently stood up, expressing, "Alpha Xavier, allow me to get you something to eat." In no time, Kelsey returned with a plate filled with Alpha Xavier's preferred delicacies. Mockery subtly danced in Bella's eyes as she glanced at the food presented before Alpha Xavier. Clearly, his lover truly understood his tastes. Alpha Carl sensed Alpha Xavier's ill intentions all too well. Amidst the sea of empty seats in the hall, why did he choose to sit next to Bella and him, seated once again? Kelsey took a few bites of her meal before casting a smile towards Bella. "Miss Moonshadow, you possess such beauty." Bella offered a faint smile. Yet Alpha Carl promptly interjected, "If you are so fond of children, hurry up and give birth to a baby for Alpha Xavier. You see, it is just like the old saying goes, better not be unfilial. Once you have a child, Miss Kelsey won't have to worry about Alpha Xavier's cruelty anymore." Bella sneered with a knowing look in her eyes. The expression on Alpha Xavier's face darkened suddenly. Alpha Carl looked at Bella in confusion, wondering what was off about her tone. In the midst of the uncertainty, Alpha Walton approached with his female companion. "Alpha Carl, Alpha Xavier, we have a performance tonight. Will any of you be joining us for the couple show?" "A performance?" Bella was taken aback, instinctively looking towards Alpha Carl. Alpha Carl smiled at her and replied, "Don't worry, we're all acquainted here. Let's watch the show first. If it doesn't work out, we can have a drink together." "Oh, a toast. Haha, is this practice for future wedding celebrations? I recall a show like that in the wedding chamber." Alpha Walton winked mischievously. "What is so difficult about just performing and biting into an apple?" Alpha Carl shrugged off any concern. Bella blushed. "No, if you want to perform, go ahead. I won't indulge in such foolishness with you." "Oh, she is blushing," Alpha Walton guffawed. "Alpha Carl, she is so bashful. Don't tell me you are still in the initial stage. Ridiculous. With my skills and expertise, am I only at the initial stage?" Alpha Carl retorted, not missing a beat. "Let me tell you, we've exhausted every possible position in bed." "Haha, Alpha Carl, you are truly impressive." Laughter erupted throughout the room. Bella understood their banter, but she was still not accustomed to it. She lowered her head and took a sip of her juice. She felt a prickling sensation on her back, as if someone was staring at her. She instinctively glanced towards Alpha Xavier and locked eyes with him. The look he gave her was filled with mockery and disdain. Bella's anger flared up, and she glared back fiercely. In just 2 days he would be engaged to Samantha, yet he had the audacity to show up at the gathering with his mistress. He was utterly repulsive, and what reason did he have to look at her with such scornful eyes? Taken aback by Bella's fierce gaze, Alpha Xavier recoiled and continued eating his food without even glancing in her direction. As the meal came to an end, the soothing music abruptly stopped. A hostess in a crimson evening gown took the stage in the center of the hall, holding a microphone. "Ladies and gentlemen, please quiet down. It is time for tonight's main event. Our esteemed guests will be performing for your amusement. First up, let's welcome Ezra and Allison." They danced for a while, followed by Alpha Walton and his female companion, who sang an English song. Several unfamiliar pairs performed next. Before it was Alpha Xavier and Kelsey's turn, they danced the waltz, with the woman displaying grace and charm, and he exuding handsome confidence. The audience erupted in applause. Impressed by their skill, Alpha Carl put his arm around Bella's waist and whispered, "Don't mind them. Kelsey and Alpha Xavier make a perfect match. They're much better suited than your illegitimate sister." Bella couldn't help but feel anger surge within her. She sneered inwardly, "Alpha Carl, I am going to the bathroom." As she left the hall, she glanced back and saw Alpha Xavier and Kelsey, who had finished dancing, holding hands and basking in the crowd's praise. Bella felt a pang of sadness and strode towards the restroom. Sitting on the toilet, she let out a soft sigh, feeling a sense of disappointment. The sound of high heels echoed from outside, followed by the sound of running water. A woman's voice chimed in. Alpha Xavier and his female companion's dance got the most attention. "Looks like Alpha Xavier will be the winner tonight. What about the remaining couples without a performance? I have high hopes for Alpha Carl and his female companion." Someone interjected. Alpha Carl informed the host that his female companion wasn't feeling well, so they won't be performing. Another replied, "Really? I thought Alpha Carl's female companion was stunning. I thought she had some talent, but I guess she is just a pretty face." The woman mocked. "That is true. How could Alpha Carl land a beautiful companion? By the way, you might not know this, but Alpha Carl is an excellent pianist. He used to receive many accolades," she commented. "What a waste. Such a wealthy and handsome Alpha." The woman sighed in disbelief. Bella didn't leave until the voices faded away. Standing by the sink, she stared blankly at her reflection in the mirror. She shouldn't have come tonight. In everyone's eyes, she had diminished Alpha Carl's status. She washed her hands slowly and made her way back to the hall. Performances were still ongoing on stage. Alpha Carl stood in his seat, engaged in conversation with someone, a smile plastered on his face. As Bella approached him, she overheard someone asking, "Are you really going to perform and propose a toast? Why not?" Alpha Carl replied nonchalantly, but Bella could clearly see the sarcasm in everyone's eyes. Most notably, she could see the mocking glint in Alpha Xavier's eyes. For some unknown reason, anger surged within her. She smirked. "Who said anything about performing a toast? Tonight, we'll be performing the piano." "The piano?" Alpha Carl and everyone else turned their gaze towards Bella. "That is right, Alpha Carl. Shall I play the zither?" Bella smiled sweetly at Alpha Carl. Alpha Carl was stunned by the surprise and looked at Bella in disbelief. With a sweet smile, Bella took Alpha Carl's hand, and together they stepped onto the stage. Adjacent to the stage was a pristine white piano. Bella seated herself gracefully. Her slender ivory fingers glided across the keys, producing beautiful melodies that filled the hall. The mocking smile on Alpha Xavier's lips gradually faded. She could play the piano, Alpha Carl and Bella had been married for 3 years, but he never knew she had a hidden talent. Little did he know, she could play the piano. Alpha Carl was not surprised to discover Bella's piano skills. She had been the apple of Beta Craig's eye, and it was only natural for her to learn the instrument as a child. He walked over to Bella's side and leaned in close. As his slender fingers graced the piano keys, a harmonious melody filled the air. The two of them had never played together before, but in that moment their music flowed in perfect harmony. The crowd of onlookers gasped in amazement. Oh my God, who would have thought Alpha Carl had such a unique skill? How romantic it would be for him and his girlfriend to be together. Alpha Walton's exaggerated mouth fell open wide. However, when he caught Alpha Xavier's icy gaze, he quickly closed his mouth. The beautiful piano sound resonated throughout the hall. As the final note faded, the perfect couple locked eyes and smiled at each other. The applause erupted from the crowd after a moment of silence. The thunderous applause lasted for a long time. Indeed. The champions of the night's performance were Bella and Alpha Carl. The party organizer, Alpha Carr, handed Alpha Carl the champion prize and a bunch of keys. Alpha Carl, take your beauty and enjoy a romantic night under the starlight. Alpha Carl took the keys and Bella's hand as they walked through the crowd. A joyful smile on his face. Everyone, I am going to enjoy a romantic night under the starlight. Alpha Walton whistled. Be careful, don't mess with her. Don't worry. I know the consequences. Alpha Carl winked. Alpha Carl, do you want something to cheer you up? I have something in my room. Walton suggested mockingly. There is no need. We will set ourselves free. Alpha Carl said, as he reached out to pick up Bella and walked through the crowd towards the exit of the hall, leaving everyone in awe. Observing Alpha Carl carrying Bella straight to the most luxurious room on the cruise ship. Alpha Xavier's face suddenly turned livid. He pushed through the crowd, ready to rush over. Kelsey, standing beside him, quickly grabbed his hand. Alpha Xavier, let go. Alpha Xavier spat out the words through gritted teeth. If they want to be together, you can't stop them. Kelsey lowered her voice. How do you know if you don't try? Don't you know her temper? I am afraid if you show up to stop her, she will do something the opposite of what you want, Kelsey pointed out. Kelsey's words made Alpha Xavier halt in his tracks. Kelsey was right. Bella's personality was not ordinary. If he went out to stop her at this time, she would definitely go against him out of anger. She has a child. A mother would never willingly leave her child behind, Kelsey explained. These words made Alpha Xavier feel a little better. He sat down on the sofa in the hall dejectedly. He was prepared to wait there all night to see if Bella would go home or not. Meanwhile, Bella was carried into the presidential suite by Alpha Carl. The opulent surroundings shocked her. Alpha Carl opened the wine cabinet, took out a bottle of red wine, poured 2 glasses, and handed one to Bella. Bella took a sip, wandered around the room, and went on to the private deck to have a look. It was evening, and only a few lights could be seen. She turned around wearily and said, "Is there no other focus in this presidential suite besides luxury?" "Of course." Alpha Carl casually picked up the remote control and pressed a button. Instantly, a vast starry sky appeared on the ceiling above the bed. "Wow, it is so beautiful," Bella exclaimed. He leaned in, kissing her neck. "You are so annoying." Bella glared at him. Alpha Carl planted a kiss on her face. "Don't worry, unless you are willing, I won't touch you." Time passed by, and suddenly, more than 2 hours had gone by. Unexpectedly, Alpha Carl and Bella had not emerged from the luxurious room. A chill ran down Alpha Xavier's spine as he wondered what they were doing inside. The lavish room featured a bed with a view of the starry sky outside, a romantic room where many rich people spent a fortune to enjoy themselves with their partners. At this moment, Bella lay in bed with Alpha Carl, drinking wine and admiring the beautiful scenery. It would be fine if all they did was sip wine and gaze up at the starry sky. Alpha Xavier thought back to what Alpha Carl had said earlier. Alpha Carl was renowned for his sexual escapades with women. He was skilled in the art of seduction. He couldn't bear to imagine the erotic scene unfolding in the room. At that moment, he suddenly got up and strode towards the exit. Alpha Xavier. Kelsey stepped on her high heels and chased after him. When she caught up with him at the bottom of the staircase, she saw him speeding off into the distance. Alpha Xavier exerted force upon the accelerator, making the car roar to life. Pedestrians on the streets quickly avoided the speeding vehicle. In just a few seconds, he had surpassed the speed limit. "You are also speeding. Please speed up." The car's warning system reminded him of the speed. But Alpha Xavier paid no attention. His mind was filled with images of Bella and Alpha Carl engaging in sexual acts, kissing, hugging, and fucking. Anger and despair consumed his mind. It felt as if the world was coming to an end. He realized he had run out of options. His heart sank deeper and deeper, as if it had fallen into an icy abyss. Alpha Xavier's rage drove him forward. He couldn't bear to imagine Bella being intimate with Alpha Carl, nor the thought of losing her. As he approached his destination, his heart raced with a mixture of fear and anticipation. In the darkest depths of the city, a silhouette raced through the streets, its tires screeching against the asphalt. The noise echoed through the night air, catching the attention of the traffic police officers in the monitoring room. Their eyes widened with the realization that danger was approaching. "Does this person want to die? Stop him quickly and prevent him from escaping," the order rang out, prompting the traffic police to take action against the speeding vehicle. The blare of police sirens filled the air, multiplying as more and more police cars joined the pursuit. They closed in on their target, a lone figure named Alpha Xavier, who had unknowingly become the prey of the relentless law enforcement. Unaware of the situation unfolding around him, Alpha Xavier clenched his heart and pressed hard on the accelerator. Panic began to set in as he realized something was amiss. The once empty road quickly filled with police cars, their sirens creating a chaotic symphony that drowned out all other sounds. Reluctantly, Alpha Xavier pulled his car to the side, surrounded by a swarm of police vehicles. The realization struck the officers as they saw the famous Alpha Xavier behind the wheel, their smiles morphing into bitter expressions. News of the incident spread like wildfire, capturing the attention of onlookers who filmed the event with their mobile phones. The footage soon made its way to the internet, exposing Alpha Xavier's true identity and igniting a media firestorm. As the revelation unfolded, public outrage grew. People began to question the special treatment given to those with power. The incident became a sensation, and among those who heard the news was Beta Craig. Anger burned within him as he valued the law and the treaty between werewolves and humans. Alpha Xavier's reckless behavior endangered innocent lives and violated the principles Beta Craig held dear. Alpha Xavier's actions warranted punishment, and so he would face the consequences of his authority being misused. The fallout from the incident extended beyond legal repercussions. Xavier Enterprises, his family's business, took a hit as the stock market plummeted. His mother, Eleanor, felt the weight of the situation, nearly fainting from the stress it caused. Alpha Xavier, however, bore it with indifference, allowing the company's public relations team to issue an apology statement and paying the fine without a second thought. The news reached Bella quickly, stirring up her emotions. Alpha Carl, her mate, scrutinized the newspaper and shook his head. If it weren't for the fact that he is an official's ex-brother-in-law, Alpha Xavier would be fine. Now, Beta Craig has ordered severe punishment for his reputation. It is truly unfair. Agreeing with Carl, Mark chimed in. His engagement to Samantha was supposed to take place in 2 days. Now, due to these circumstances, it can't proceed as planned. Alpha Xavier must be furious. Alpha Carl pondered the situation. Why would he go to such extreme lengths to race when his engagement is so close? Could it be that he intentionally wants to avoid getting engaged to Samantha? Lucas interjected with a possible explanation. There is a possibility. Isn't he involved with Kelsey now? Maybe Alpha Xavier's actions were driven by his desire to evade the engagement? Alarmed by the extent Alpha Xavier went to for Kelsey, Alpha Carl sighed. He is truly generous when it comes to her. He has lost billions of dollars in just 3 days. He must be losing his mind. Is this the infamous love for beauty that disregards the welfare of the pack? Such thoughts brought sadness to Bella's heart, as Alpha Xavier had cheated on Samantha and forced her out of his life. Now, he had lost billions for another woman, making it evident where his loyalty lay, suppressing the unhappiness. Bella reminded herself that she was with Alpha Carl now, while Alpha Xavier belonged to the past. His actions were no concern of hers. Meanwhile, Eleanor, devastated by the complete ruin of her son's reputation, found herself in the hospital, suffering from the impact. The Xavier Enterprises stock market downfall added salt to her wounds. But she couldn't muster any sympathy for her son's reputation anymore. Fury burned within her, and she dialed Pamela's number seeking answers. What is Beta Craig thinking? He tried to help me find a way, but he insists on punishing them severely. Doesn't he realize Alpha Xavier and Samantha were about to get engaged? Now that Alpha Xavier has been offended, the engagement can only be delayed. Pamela, caught in the middle, tried to explain Beta Craig's position calmly. Craig is left with no choice. He is under scrutiny from many quarters, so he had to take action. Mocking Pamela's words, Eleanor sneered. Is his position as the top council member of werewolves and humans enough to make him an alpha king? With a snap of my son's finger, your husband would be out. Frustration filled Pamela as she attempted to justify Beta Craig's decision. But Eleanor abruptly ended the call, leaving Pamela alone with her mounting annoyance. Takes of anger and frustration echoed through the room as Pamela, gasping for breath, heard Samantha's cries from upstairs. She reluctantly left the couch and ascended the stairs, her mind filled with the chaos surrounding Alpha Xavier and his ill-fated decisions. Due to the engagement ceremony being delayed by Xavier's unfortunate accident, Samantha seethed with fury. Her aspirations of a perfect engagement shattered, leaving her devoid of any happiness, when a phone call from purported best friends interrupted her turmoil. Her anger exploded like a furious beast. In her rage, Samantha seized a pair of shears and viciously tore through clothing fabric. Her mother, Pamela, burst into the room, shouting for her to cease her mad behavior. Mother, why am I cursed with such misfortune? Why? Why did the goddess deal me this cruel hand? Samantha lamented. Samantha, calm thyself. Pamela urged, how can I be calm? I have spent countless years waiting and loving him, yet all I can do is watch him marry another. I endured so much through these years, and even conceived his child only for God to deny me my chance. I finally managed to convince him to become engaged, but just moments before, an accident occurred. Why? What have I done wrong? Samantha stared at Pamela with eyes burning crimson. For years, she had loved Alpha Xavier, dedicating her heart to him, yet he never saw her, opting instead to marry Bella. She had done everything in her power to please Eleanor and thwart Bella's attempts at pregnancy, so she could have Alpha Xavier for herself. She even convinced Eleanor to secure Alpha Xavier's sperm, successfully giving birth to their child. However, during an examination, signs of miscarriage were discovered, and the doctor voiced doubts about the baby's survival. Determined to frame Bella, Samantha and her mother contrived a scene where Bella appeared to push her. Bella believed that Alpha Xavier would be burdened by guilt and choose her after leaving the household. Yet she had waited for 3 years, and only now did she manage to convince him to become engaged. Yet, something untoward occurred at the final moment. It was her father who issued the order for severe punishment upon them. Now, the weight of responsibility lay solely on their shoulders. Pamela promptly called Samantha, scolding her mercilessly. Though upset, Samantha remained resolute. The more she ruminated on the situation, the more her anger festered. "This cannot be. Why has it come to this? You blame the heavens and earth, believing that by shedding tears you can reverse all that has happened?" Pamela glared at her daughter. "You worthless creature, your only reaction to adversity is to weep. Why do you feel wronged? Compare your grievances to those of your mother." Seeing her mother growing angrier, Samantha fell silent. Pamela furiously continued. "Have you ever pondered why a simple car accident would be blown out of proportion? Didn't father order someone to punish him severely?" Samantha exclaimed. "Imbecile, is this your father's fault?" Pamela reached out, tapping her daughter's head. "Why do you refuse to think? With Alpha Xavier's financial clout, why would he tolerate such unfavorable headlines spreading like wildfire?" "Mother, what do you mean? Are you saying Alpha Xavier intentionally leaked the news?" Samantha asked, perplexed. "Weren't it he who deliberately alerted the media?" "Let me elucidate. Crushing negative news is a trivial task for Alpha Xavier's PR team. Yet why did he not intervene?" Pamela explained. "For what purpose?" Samantha was dumbfounded. "He never wished to become engaged to you in the first place. By allowing the news to spread and your father to issue the punishment order, he absolves himself of all involvement while directing blame onto us." Pamela detailed Xavier's scheming. "But the price is too high, is it not?" Samantha refused to believe it. The loss of billions of dollars, coupled with the tarnishing of his reputation. Was this the work of a mere mortal? "He can do anything for Bella," Pamela sneered. "The more he acts in this way, the less I will let them go. He wants to plot against me, does he not? Well, let us see who can plot against us." 2 weeks later, Alpha Xavier finally reemerged. He had secluded himself in one of his resorts, keeping away from prying eyes. Finally, he returned to the pack. As he disembarked from his private jet, he inhaled deeply, amidst Mark, Samantha, and Eleanor awaiting him. He simply took off his coat and climbed into the waiting limousine. Inside the car, Eleanor incessantly prattled about going home to freshen up and indulge in a mouth-watering feast. Xavier remained silent. The image of that woman had never left his mind. What had she been doing during those 2 weeks of his absence? Had Bella for even a moment considered him? Was her heart truly captivated by Alpha Carl? Though the method of disengagement was less than commendable, it was the best option he had. In fact, the idea only occurred to him at the very last moment. Surrounded by policemen, the thought of his engagement ceremony with Samantha sparked the idea that he ultimately ordered Mark to execute. He hoped Bella was aware of his concerted efforts. He hoped she and Alpha Carl would not progress any further. Was such a hope even achievable? Contrary to Eleanor's claim, Xavier did not spend a full 6 days and nights at home. After showering at the castle, he hurriedly made his escape, using an excuse about having urgent matters to address. Eleanor, her face etched with frustration, and Samantha, wearing a counterfeit smile, were like feline predators toying with their prey within Samantha's heart. The ostentatious sports car, mirroring Alpha Carl's vibrant personality, raced towards Bella's residence. She had patiently waited, offering a saccharine smile to Alpha Carl. Opening the car door, Alpha Carl uttered, "My dearest, please enter." Bella climbed into the car, curiosity piqued. What game are you playing so shrouded in mystery? Ah, that is a secret, he chuckled. Why must you be so enigmatic? What is happening? Bella inquired anxiously. Alpha Carl remained silent. Bella furrowed her brow, aware that it was futile for Alpha Carl to claim she was anxious. Soon, the car came to a stop by the seaside. Alpha Carl and Bella stepped out of the vehicle, making their way towards the depths of the beach. The night breeze blew gently, causing Bella's hair to tousle. As they strolled slowly along the shoreline, a bright light began to flicker in the darkened sky before them. The light began to pursue them, its transformation becoming increasingly dramatic. Alpha Carl took hold of Bella's hand and continued forward. Soon, the sky became filled with the brilliance of fireflies. Bella looked up in astonishment, observing the fireflies soaring through the sky. Their light illuminated the entire beach, casting a glow upon Alpha Carl's face. She could clearly discern the expression written across Alpha Carl's face. His eyes were deep and brimming with affection. The two of them stared at each other for an extended period of time. Alpha Carl suddenly retrieved a jewelry box from his pocket and revealed its contents. Inside lay an enormous diamond ring. Removing the ring from its casing, he went down on one knee. Bella, will you marry me and become my Luna? Bella gazed at Alpha Carl, taken aback. She couldn't find the words to respond. He held the ring firmly and looked at her intently. I love you, Bella. I have long desired to be mated with you. Perhaps I am not the best alpha, but for you, I am willing to become a devoted mate who will protect you above all else. His voice possessed a magnetic quality, and his eyes conveyed unwavering determination. Bella stared at him, dazed. After a moment she nodded. Alpha Carl took her hand and slid the ring onto Bella's finger. From this moment forward, you belong to me. You are my soul woman, my mate, my Luna. Bella's eyes grew slightly moist. After all these years, she never truly believed in love, yet she still found herself deeply moved. Witnessing her tearful eyes broke Alpha Carl's heart. He tenderly cupped her face and gently brushed his lips against hers. Bella did not resist. Instead, she reached out and wrapped her arms around his neck. A short distance away, Alpha Xavier stood rooted to the spot. Silently witnessing this scene, his hopeful heart plummeted into an abyss once more. He should have anticipated it. The strains of the piano music from that day continued to echo in his ears. She despised him so vehemently. In a nearby bar, a fashionable woman belted out a rendition of I'll Love You Always and Forever. Alpha Xavier slumped in his chair, staring vacantly at the glass of wine before him. He had already consumed half a bottle. His stomach ached, yet he remained unabated by the alcohol. The wine was originally meant to numb him, but it seemed to have no effect. Instead, it sharpened his memory. Every moment of their time together played out before him. Like a movie, he recollected that in each instance, whether in happiness or anger, he diligently controlled his emotions. These fragments of the past tore into his heart, causing him indescribable pain. She had accepted another man's proposal and was about to embark on a new marriage. Meanwhile, he remained trapped in the same place, unable to break free from the cage she had constructed. A bitter smile played upon Alpha Xavier's lips. Throughout history, it had been said that women were always tender-hearted, while men were the fortunate ones. In his current state, he felt this phrase perfectly encapsulated the reverse of what he and Bella had shared. He yearned for the past, anticipating a reunion, while she had cast it aside for a fresh start. The more he dwelled on it, the more his heart shattered. The more agony he felt, the more desperately he poured wine down his throat. Kelsey leaned against her bed, lazily scrolling through Facebook when her phone suddenly rang. She picked it up and heard a man's voice on the other end. "Miss Kelsey, is the drunk Alpha Xavier with you? Can you come and collect him? Where should I go?" Kelsey sat up abruptly. An hour later, Kelsey arrived at the bar. Alpha Xavier sat at the counter. Several women sat nearby, glaring at him as if ready to tear him limb from limb. "Why are you getting so drunk? Aren't you afraid of ruining your stomach?" Kelsey hurriedly made her way to Alpha Xavier's side. Alpha Xavier raised his mesmerizing eyes, offering Kelsey a smile. "Bella, it is not me," Kelsey insisted. "I knew you'd come back." Alpha Xavier reached out and grasped Kelsey's hand. "Do you know how much I've missed you? All these years, Bella. It is only you who resides in my heart." Kelsey attempted to retrieve her hand, but to no avail. Instead, Alpha Xavier pulled her hand against his chest and uttered, "Bella, feel my heart. It beats here. It has belonged to you from the very start until the end." "Alpha Xavier, you are drunk." "I am not drunk. I am lucid." He pressed her hand closer to his chest. "Bella, don't be with Alpha Carl. Please don't be with him. I would rather perish than witness you with him." Kelsey had always regarded Alpha Xavier as calm and self-restrained. She saw him as cold and domineering. She believed him to possess immeasurable strength, but she had never expected to see him in such a vulnerable and lost state. It was all because of Bella. Only Bella could sway his emotions. Observing Alpha Xavier's helplessness and anguish, Kelsey's heart wrenched with pain. Clueless as to how to console him, she simply reached out and helped him to his feet. "Alpha Xavier, let's go home." Alpha Xavier gazed at Kelsey and made no objection. He thought she was Bella. Submissively, he allowed Kelsey to aid him out of the bar. Once they were outside, Kelsey started her car and drove away. But this time, she didn't take Alpha Xavier home. Instead, she brought him back to her own apartment. As the car was parked outside the apartment building, Kelsey guided Alpha Xavier into the elevator. He was completely intoxicated, unable to stand on his own. With one side of his body leaning on Kelsey, she used all her physical strength to support him. They waited patiently as the elevator slowly ascended, the numbers beeping along the way. Finally, the elevator came to a halt, and Kelsey helped Alpha Xavier out, guiding him to stumble into the apartment. She carefully led him into the bedroom and gently laid him on the bed. Then, she went to prepare a soothing honey water for him. Swiftly, she returned to the bedroom, carrying the honey water in her hands. Alpha Xavier lay motionless on the bed with closed eyes and furrowed brows. Kelsey sighed softly as she looked at the incredibly handsome face in front of her. "Alpha Xavier, please drink the honey water and get some rest." As soon as she finished speaking, Alpha Xavier opened his eyes. Kelsey assisted him as he sat up, bringing the honey water to his lips. He gulped it down in one go, and then held onto her hand tightly. Confusion filled his gaze as he looked at Kelsey. Kelsey felt a pang of sadness as she realized he mistook her for Bella. Finally, she understood why Alpha Xavier had shown her kindness. Not because of her beauty or abilities, but because she resembled Bella. In a daze, she stood by the bedside, observing Alpha Xavier. She watched as he gradually closed his eyes, his breathing becoming steady. The racing in her heart, triggered by Alpha Xavier, slowly settled back to its regular rhythm. "How could I just stand by when you are feeling so sorrowful?" Kelsey whispered to herself. "Hun." Later in the evening, Bella finished putting Leo to sleep. After turning off the lights, she returned to her bedroom and settled into bed, ready to sleep. Suddenly, the sound of her phone receiving a message caught her attention. She picked it up and glanced at the screen. It was a text message. "You are nothing but a homeless mistress trying to steal another woman's man." Bella furrowed her brows, confused by the message. She wondered if someone had sent it to her by mistake, but another message quickly followed. Those who try to steal will face consequences. Miss Moonshadow, take care. Upon reading this message, Bella's blood boiled with anger. The use of the name Miss Moonshadow made it clear that it was not a mistake. She immediately replied, "Who are you? Why are you sending me such messages? You don't have to know my identity. I just want to inform you that you are nothing more than a mistress. Are you out of your mind?" Bella swiftly replied, "Wow. I've seen many homeless people, but none as shameless as you, a mistress, daring to scold others. You truly have thick skin," the person on the other end messaged back. Bella's fury surged. "Tell me who you are right now, or I will sue you for defamation." "Oh, I am quaking in my boots. Miss Moonshadow, are you truly unaware, or are you just playing dumb? I can't believe you are so shameless, considering that your current boyfriend, Alpha Carl, already has a fiancé. What nonsense!" Bella exclaimed in shock. "Nonsense. Can't one speak the truth? Let me enlighten you then. Alpha Carl's fiancée is named Brianna. The Zachary and Carl families are of equal status, and their marriage has already been arranged." Bella's mind spun in a daze as she read the text message on her phone. She never could have imagined that Alpha Carl had a fiancée, someone whom Brianna knew from before. Alpha Zachary had informed her that the Zachary and Trevor families were old acquaintances with a strong bond. It was the reason Alpha Zachary had allowed her to work for Alpha Carl. Given their wealth, the possibility of an arranged marriage seemed all too real. But why had she never heard about this before? As these thoughts swirled within her, another message arrived. "Miss Moonshadow, a lady should have dignity, and even a tree has its own skin. If you have any self-respect left, you should break up with Alpha Carl as soon as possible. It is for your own good and the well-being of your child." "Who the hell are you? Why should I believe what you are saying?" Bella managed to reply, desperately attempting to defend herself. "You want solid evidence, huh? I'll send it to you right away." Within minutes, a screenshot arrived on Bella's phone. She tapped on the image to open the news. The photo featured a foreign hotel, with the article mentioning Grandpa Trevor's birthday celebration. It also highlighted Mrs. Tang from the Zachary family, accompanied by Brianna. According to insiders, Mrs. Brianna had been chosen to be Alpha Carl's fiancée, approved by the Carl family. After reading the news, Bella couldn't hold on to her phone any longer. Letting it fall onto the bed, she weakly leaned against the bed, feeling an icy coldness spreading through her. Tears streamed down her face. "Alpha Carl, you promised you would never lie to me. I had already made up my mind to let go of the past and start anew with you. I had decided to give you my love. How could you give me such a devastating blow now?" Bella's heart silently cried out. That night, Bella had a sleepless night, her senses heightened in the moon's silver glow. At 8 o'clock in the morning, Alpha Carl appeared downstairs, his presence commanding and powerful. Bella's heart raced as she caught sight of him, his piercing gaze sending shivers down her spine. He was a creature of dominance, his strength evident in every step he took. But what did she, a mere mortal, have to offer? Bitterness twisted in her chest, a feeling she couldn't shake. Silently, she climbed into the car, Alpha Carl starting the engine. "What troubles you, my dear? Why wear such a sour expression? I have a question for you. One that demands an honest answer." Bella spoke with a bitter edge. "What is it?" His lips curved into a smile, though his eyes held a hint of concern. "Has your family arranged a fiancé for you?" Bella's voice held a hint of accusation. "Who told you such a tale?" Alpha Carl questioned. "It matters not who spilled the secrets. I simply wished to know the truth." Bella retorted, her frustration seeping into her words. It is true, Alpha Carl confessed, a heavy sigh escaping his lips. The smile faded slightly, betraying the weight of his words. Bella's heart grew cold. Why deceive me? Have you found amusement in playing with my emotions? Meeting her angered gaze, Alpha Carl reached for her hand. Bella, my love, listen to me. This was not my intention. Bella composed herself, her eyes searching for the truth within his. Is it simply your own desire or your parents' bidding? Wealthy families often engage in alliances for their own gain. They toy with arrangements. I will not be a pawn. If that were the case, why did you keep it hidden? Bella's voice held a note of hurt. This was merely a notion entertained by my family. It was never my truth, and I did not believe it would affect our bond. I did not wish to burden you with such worries, Carl explained, but it affects me greatly, Alpha Carl. Have you truly considered all that lies between us? I am a divorced woman with a child. I lack the familial support and backing that you possess. We do not fit together easily. Do you grasp the gravity of the situation? Bella poured out her thoughts. Bella, I have carefully considered everything. I have pondered over it endlessly. I love you, and I wish to make you my wife. I long to shower you with happiness. Please believe me. Carl's declaration flowed with sincerity. No. You have yet to fathom the complexities that surround us. Love is only a facet of an intricate dance called marriage. It is not simply about one's feelings, but also about the merging of two families. I was naive in the past, believing love could conquer all. But now, I know better. Love alone is not enough. Bella voiced her reservations. Bella, I understand all that you say. I did not enter into this hastily. I am prepared to face any obstacle that stands in our way. All I ask is for your love, Carl vowed. Alpha Carl, you must think long and hard about this affair. It is not solely my resistance that we encounter, but yours as well. Do you comprehend? Bella sighed, her voice tinged with desperation. Alpha Carl had never truly contemplated the challenges they would face. Just as her previous love, Alpha Xavier had failed to anticipate. Yet now, they were confronted not only with their own obstacles but with others as well. She was not only a divorced woman but a mother. How could the Trevor family ever accept a divorced woman with a child as their own? Bella, let us find a place where we may speak freely, Alpha Carl suggested. Starting the car, they soon arrived at his private mansion. He invited Bella to sit, pouring 2 cups of tea before joining her. I have kept much about myself hidden from you. Today I will reveal my true self to you. Let us begin with my family. And so, Alpha Carl commenced his tale. My parents' union was one of business convenience, as is often the case. My father held no love for my mother, forced into the marriage by the pressures of his lineage. It did not take long for him to venture into the arms of another, but his affair was not a simple fling. It was the love he had chosen, forsaking his wife and child, even being cast out by his own family. Yet he never regretted his decision. A heavy sigh escaped Alpha Carl's lips, his pain evident. Though I had a father, his love was never bestowed upon me. Though my mother had a husband, she too remained untouched by love's embrace. My childhood was marred by my mother's tears, and as I grew older, her heart grew weary. She sought solace in the mortal realm. Born into such a family, my perspective on love was warped. I did not believe in it. Instead, I reveled in temporary pleasures, countless affairs with women. If I had not crossed paths with you, I would have continued on that path. Bella watched Alpha Carl, a sense of sadness welling within her. She had lost her mother in her youth, and her father's love was an elusive dream. She had always considered herself a pitiful soul. However, in comparison to Alpha Carl, she realized she was blessed. At least she had tasted happiness in her childhood, while he had been deprived of even a father's love since birth. No wonder he had sought solace in the arms of countless women, drowning his pain. Without you, I would have settled for a woman of equal standing, one who merely served as a companion. It would not matter if she was stunning or plain, or if her heart held love for me. It would have been a mere alliance of convenience. But meeting you, I realized I could no longer live like that. I desired a deeper and more meaningful life. Alpha Carl revealed, I must clarify the matter of the fiancé. Brianna holds no place in my heart. She has forever been a childhood friend, nothing more. Yet our families hold grand plans, believing they can dictate our futures. Bella, even if I had never met you, I would never have chosen Brianna as my life partner, Carl reassured. Alpha Carl's throat felt parched after sharing so much. He reached for his teacup, taking a sip of the drink. Bella, for your sake, I will not succumb to so-called unions of equal status, nor will I bow to familial pressures. I have my own hands, my own means to provide for you and any children we may have. Bella, as long as you love me, as long as you trust in us, we can journey across the world together. Our future is within our grasp. His tone resonated with determination, his gaze unwaveringly sincere. Bella's once cold heart began to thaw, warmth spreading through her. She reached out, her hand intertwining with his. Alpha Carl, I believe in you. A radiant smile graced Alpha Carl's face. A twinkle of joy in his eyes. He stared at Bella, his gaze filled with unwavering adoration. Suddenly he pulled her into his arms, holding her tightly. Bella, whenever you desire, I am ready to make you my wife. As the moon loomed high in the night sky, Bella found solace in the strong, protective embrace of Alpha Carl. Her heart swelled with an untamed joy, a rare feeling she had yearned for throughout her tumultuous journey with Leo. Life had thrown its fair share of hardships her way, leaving her searching for someone to lean on, to trust. The dream of a stable and loving life, complete with a devoted father figure for Leo, had always danced in the corners of her mind. And now, finally she had found someone who held her tightly, refusing to let go. She clung to this newfound love with fierce determination, unwilling to surrender. Kelsey, driven by her own complexities and insecurities, foolishly believed she could shatter Bella's self-esteem by exposing Alpha Carl's engagement to another woman. She naively assumed that Bella's insecurities would push her into severing ties with Alpha Carl, freeing him to pursue a life with Kelsey herself. However, fate played a different hand than Kelsey had anticipated. Instead of crumbling under the weight of the revelation, Bella and Alpha Carl's bond only grew stronger, unyielding against the attempts to break them apart. This unshakable closeness left Alpha Xavier feeling crestfallen and dejected as time wore on. Perplexed by her failed scheme, Kelsey's mind raced, desperately searching for a solution. Days of pondering led her to a plan, a scheme to sway the tides in her favor once more. Determined, Kelsey began her clandestine mission, gathering every speck of information on Brianna, Alpha Carl's supposed fiancée. With a whisper of the wind, Kelsey unraveled the secret whereabouts and intimate details of Brianna's life. Eagerly, she left a message for the unsuspecting woman, weaving a twisted tale of Alpha Carl's escapades. Kelsey spoke of lavish cruises and grand proposals, embellishing the truth to fuel the fire of jealousy within Brianna's heart. Brianna, initially suspicious of Kelsey's claims, sought confirmation of the alleged betrayal. Kelsey swiftly dispatched a photograph, capturing the tender moments shared between Alpha Carl and Bella at a lavish banquet. As Brianna's eyes laid upon the image, her fury ignited, her teeth grinding against each other in anger. Having known Bella for years, Brianna couldn't fathom how this divorced woman with a child could dare to dream of claiming her man. Her territory. She couldn't fathom the wellspring of confidence that fueled Bella's audacity. It was inconceivable to Brianna, and she seethed with a burning desire to teach Bella a painful lesson. Brianna had always been a vexing presence in Bella's life, constantly meddling whenever her cousin, Alpha Zachary, showed even a hint of interest in the tenacious beauty. Seeing Bella triumph where she had failed was insufferable. Brianna's narrowed eyes formed a resolute decision, a vow to assert her dominance over Bella, and extinguish any glimmer of hope she held. However, Brianna found herself entangled in an intricate web of complexities. The Trevor and Zachary families had longed for a union between them, but Alpha Carl showed no desire to engage with Brianna beyond superficial pleasantries. Contemplating her predicament, Brianna's mind conjured a solution that involved seeking the aid of Grandpa Alpha Trevor, the one who held sway over her fate. Resolute in her plan, Brianna dialed Alpha Trevor's number, divulging the details of Alpha Carl's purported involvement with a divorced woman and her child. The revelation shook Alpha Trevor, who, until then, had dismissed the relationship as a fleeting affair. Sensing foul play, he summoned Brianna to convince this woman, oblivious to the truth, to retreat and spare herself the forthcoming troubles. With Grandpa Alpha Trevor backing her every move, Brianna found renewed confidence coursing through her veins. Swiftly, she booked a flight to the heart of the Pack City, ready to confront Bella head-on. Bella's heart skipped a beat when she received Brianna's unexpected call. Alpha Carl claimed Brianna held no significance in their relationship. Yet here she was, seeking Bella out. Suspicion clung to Bella's thoughts as she questioned Brianna's intentions. Unfazed by Bella's skepticism, Brianna proposed a face-to-face conversation, dressed in the guise of friendship. Bella, unyielding and unafraid, agreed, ready to delve into the depths of Brianna's motives. In a quaint coffee shop, Bella arrived belatedly, traffic delaying her progress. Brianna, bearing a facade of patience, had been waiting for what seemed like an eternity. "Long time no see, Miss Brianna," Bella uttered calmly, her eyes locked onto Brianna's. The Zachary family's reputation preceded them, and Bella had long been aware of the ethereal beauty that Brianna possessed. Despite her poise, meeting her now sent ripples of astonishment through Bella's being. Brianna, too, observed Bella, a soft smile gracing her lips. 8 years had passed, but not a single detail of Bella's face escaped Brianna's memory. As Bella sat before her, radiating beauty, Brianna sighed. "Bella, each passing day enhances your stunning allure." Bella offered a faint smile, her voice dripping with sarcasm. "Miss Brianna, I assume your intentions extend beyond mere compliments, correct?" Brianna brushed aside the taunting words, undeterred. "What kind of coffee pleases your senses, Bella?" she inquired, her genuine interest hiding a more sinister purpose. "Let's cut to the chase, Miss Brianna. I've no time for games," Bella responded in a frigid tone, her gaze unwavering. Unfazed, Brianna's smile wavered, replaced by a realization that time was slipping through her fingers. "You must be aware of my relationship with Alpha Carl, Bella. We are merely moments away from sealing our engagement," Brianna stated, her annoyance seeping into her words. Bella raised an eyebrow, a glint of mischief dancing in her eyes. "Isn't it merely an engagement?" she quipped. Brianna shook her head, her smile sickly sweet, as she allowed her voice to soften. "Don't play coy, Bella. I know you are aware of the connection between Alpha Carl and me. We are destined to be bonded," she said, her words laced with determination. "I know that Alpha Carl bestowed upon you the ring on your hand, but it was his choice to give it to you. His feelings for you are undeniably peculiar. Without that ring, I wouldn't have even thought of seeking you out." Brianna spoke with unwavering honesty. Brianna's gaze slowly drifted towards Bella's hand. "I know that the two of you were on that cruise and were crowned as the best couple, residing in the most luxurious presidential suite. I know he accompanies you to work every day. I know all too well about your pursuits. Bella's heart suddenly grew cold. She had no idea that Kelsey had leaked this information to Brianna. She had assumed Brianna had been keeping tabs on Alpha Carl, so she glanced at Brianna's, her worry evident. Bella. I apologize for what happened between you and my Zachary, but I still have to deter you. It is not meant as a form of belittlement. You are undoubtedly a wonderful and exceptional individual, but you are not suited for the survival within affluent and influential families. Brianna asserted candidly, the Trevor family is an intricate web. It is no ordinary complex household, spanning across hundreds of individuals, young and old, male and female. How do you suppose you will handle such a multitude if you struggle to handle Alpha Xavier's mother? Brianna posed a question. It is none of your concern, Miss Brianna. Bella sneered, observing that Bella remained unmoved. Brianna grew slightly anxious, but she regained composure. Bella, won't you reconsider? Miss Brianna, your words are quite amusing. Why should I listen to you and reconsider? Is it solely based on your words? Bella scoffed. What do you mean? I am not. My family has acquiesced to the relationship between Alpha Carl and me. Brianna furrowed her brow. Acquiesced, have they? It is merely a lack of progress. It is all for show. Can that truly be considered an engagement? Miss Brianna, your reasoning is quite far-fetched, don't you think? What are you trying to insinuate? I am trying to tell you that I've been entrusted by Alpha Carl's grandfather to negotiate with you. Brianna nearly shouted, Alpha Carl's grandfather. I must inquire, Miss Brianna. When is this supposed arrangement taking place? Are you assuming this is the decree of the moon goddess? Even then, it would require multiple matchmakers to assert the legitimacy of this so-called engagement. Can you provide any evidence of these so-called matchmakers? Or is it all just empty words? Bella narrowed her eyes, scrutinizing Brianna. To be honest, he is attractive and talented. Many women hold infatuation for him. You aren't the first to come searching for me. You. Brianna never anticipated that Bella would claim to be secretly loved by Alpha Carl, being the favored woman in his life. Brianna's face suddenly changed. Bella, it has been many years since we last saw each other, and yet you possess such a sharp tongue. It is nothing compared to you. Bella sneered. Bella, did you come to seduce Alpha Carl because I ruined your relationship with Zachary in the past? Brianna suddenly interrogated harshly. You couldn't accept defeat, and upon hearing that I fancy Alpha Carl, you made it your mission to seduce him, hoping to bring me distress. Is that the case? You hold yourself in high regard. Bella sneered. Brianna, let me clarify something. The reason I left Zachary was not because of your powerful status, but because I held no feelings for him whatsoever. How about you? The blatant disdain in Bella's eyes drove Brianna to the edge. She could no longer maintain her facade of being gentle and virtuous. Bella, I warn you, do not become ungrateful. What do you want from me, Miss Brianna? Or do you desire your servants to torment me in that manner? Bella sneered. How did you find out? Brianna was stunned. She had instructed the Zachary family's servants to torment Bella wherever she went, believing she had done so discreetly. I deduced it, but I never expected you to admit it. Bella sneered. Miss Brianna, a cornered rabbit will bite. If you continue to push me, I will reveal your true colors to Zachary. I will make him aware that his beloved cousin, who always seemed harmless and virtuous, has been playing the role of a noble lady from a prestigious family. Then, your pleasant days will come to an end. Zachary will never believe you, Brianna yelled. Want to test that theory? Bella taunted. Brianna bit her lip. She had come to confront Bella with unwavering confidence, aiming to destroy her. However, she never could have imagined that Bella was no longer the same person she once knew. The tables had turned unexpectedly. Bella looked at her with a contemptuous gaze as she rose from her seat. "I must take my leave now, Miss Brianna, take your time." Once Bella exited the café, Brianna's phone began to ring. She answered it. Grandfather, Alpha Trevor's voice resonated on the other end. "How did it go? Is it resolved?" "It is proving to be quite challenging," Brianna exclaimed. "If you can't handle it, come back and let Grandfather handle it." He instructed her over the phone. "Grandfather, don't worry. I will find a way to resolve this matter." Before setting off, she had made a bet with him. Now returning empty-handed was not an option she could accept. "I know you have the capability to deal with this, but you and Alpha Carl will have to coexist in the future. You cannot let this matter drive a wedge between the two of you. Grandfather will handle this villain." Alpha Trevor hung up the phone. He picked up the freshly delivered document from the beta. His gaze fixated on the photo displayed on the document. The women in the photo bore a striking resemblance both in features and appearance to Bella. His brows furrowed. How could this be such an astonishing coincidence? Bella left the coffee shop, her senses alert to the moonlit night. As she walked, her phone rang, a call from Alpha Carl. His deep, commanding voice echoed in her ears, tinged with an edge of annoyance. "Where are you?" Alpha Carl's voice resonated through the speaker. "I am going to visit Layla," she responded, her tone dripping with a subtle deceit. "Why did you not inform me beforehand?" "Now I have wasted my time," Alpha Carl grumbled, his words laced with frustration. "I apologize. I rushed out and forgot to inform you," she replied, her voice filled with contrition. However, Alpha Carl ignored her apology, his silence speaking volumes. "I am heading back to the pack. See you later." After the call ended, Bella hailed a taxi, her eyes scanning her surroundings cautiously. The city's hustle and bustle fell away as she ventured into the depths of the night. The traffic was unyielding, trapping her halfway on her journey, but she took solace in knowing that Alpha Carl, her boss and leader, would not scold her for her tardiness. Thoughts of him danced through her mind, a soft smile gracing her features as they drove her onward. Suddenly, a familiar voice interrupted her reverie, slicing through the silence like a wolf's howl. "When will this accursed traffic be cleared?" Bella's head snapped to the side, her eyes locking with Itzel's gaze. Itzel, once the healer of her pack, had spent countless hours tending to her in times of sickness and vulnerability. They shared an inexplicable bond and bore a striking resemblance, leading others to speculate on their connection. Bella pondered Itzel's presence, puzzled by her unexpected appearance. But didn't Itzel belong to another pack? What is she doing here? Bella wondered, her suspicions piqued. Lost in her thoughts, Itzel remained oblivious to Bella's presence, her words of complaint directed towards the man beside her. Bella's eyes widened in shock as she recognized the man to be Alpha Carl's father. A wave of realization washed over her. Itzel's involvement in Alpha Carl's father's departure becoming clear. A slight gasp escaped Bella's lips as she contemplated the implications. Could Itzel be the woman responsible for tearing Alpha Carl's family apart? The mere thought of her role as a potential mistress caused Bella's once warm sentiment for Itzel to wither away. Once they arrived at the pack's territory, Bella entered the company, only to find Alpha Carl engaged in a conversation with Mark. The room fell silent as Bella's presence drew their attention. Mark excused himself, leaving Alpha Carl and Bella alone. Alpha Carl's voice carried a tinge of annoyance as he spoke. "If it weren't for you, I would have gone out to find you," he expressed, his eyebrows furrowing in frustration. "The traffic held me back," Bella replied, a soft smile gracing her lips, hoping to appease him. "Come here. I need to tell you something." Alpha Carl beckoned, and Bella obediently approached. Brianna has arrived at our pack. She came yesterday. If she tries to contact you, inform me immediately. You are too late. She has already sought me out, Bella revealed, her tone casual. Why did you lie about seeing Layla then? Why did you deceive me? Alpha Carl's frustration bubbled to the surface, his voice thick with irritation. I was afraid of upsetting you, Bella confessed, reaching out to grasp Alpha Carl's hand. Her action instantly calmed him, his anger dissipating in the presence of her touch. He returned the affectionate gesture, his grip tightening around her hand. What did she say to you? Do you really want to know? Bella quirked an eyebrow mischievously, a playful glimmer in her eyes. She spoke of your love story and asked me, your supposed mistress, to fulfill your childhood sweetheart's desires. There is no love story between Brianna and me. You have to make your decisions based on your own judgment. Alpha Carl urged, his anxiety apparent. If I believed her words, would I be standing here with you? Bella countered, her gaze fixed on him intently. Alpha Carl paused before breaking into laughter, acknowledging the validity of her argument. Yet, he couldn't help but caution her, his voice laced with warning. Do not trust what others say. No one can be trusted. Everyone, except me, will lie to you. Do you understand? Bella nodded, her eyes filled with understanding. I understand. I am waiting for you to make me happy. Images of Itzel and Alpha Carl's father flashed through Bella's mind, her curiosity overwhelming her. Alpha Carl, do you know Itzel? I do not know her. Alpha Carl replied dismissively, a sneer creeping onto his face. But I have heard that she is the woman who tore my father away from my mother and me. Is it truly her? Bella asked, her voice filled with disbelief. Kelsey had expected Bella to retreat when faced with Brianna's advances. But reality had defied her predictions. Bella and Alpha Carl's relationship remained unyielding, while Brianna vanished without a word. It seemed that her mission had ended in failure, leaving Kelsey with a headache. She had followed Alpha Xavier's orders, but now she was unsure of her next move. Meanwhile, Alpha Xavier had also learned of Brianna's visit to the pack. Concern for Bella flared within him, aware of the torment she had endured at Brianna's hands, due to her ties with Alpha Zachary. He had expected Bella to be utterly defeated, unable to fight back. However, Brianna's departure, humiliated and empty-handed, took him by surprise. It was clear to him that Bella had not allowed herself to be taken advantage of. The transformation she had undergone perplexed him, leaving him wondering how she had become so resilient.